What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to iStuff Gaming, and today we're going to be doing a counter guide to the Mage Persephone. And before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to keep up with any future content, I'll be leaving the link to my Discord and my Twitch channel in the description below. Now, before I get into this guide video as well, I want to go ahead and let you know that these counter guides are mostly going to be how to deal with characters' kits. There's not really going to be a lot of items you can build to deal with said characters, for the most part. But Persephone, there are a few items that you can build against her to help you deal with this character just a little bit better. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. So to understand how to counter this character, you need to realize that her second ability is probably her most dangerous ability outside of her ult. Now, first things first, the second stage that the plants are in is the most dangerous. This is where you actually need to stay away from her, right? Because if she basics it, it'll do this little AoE explosion, and as you can see, it has a pretty large radius. So you're going to want to avoid that at all costs. However, the first stage and the third stage aren't really as scary. Now, reason being is because the first stage, all she gets is a heal. So building anti-heal against her is a must, because this actually helps her in the sustain, with sustain while dealing with her as a mid laner or even as a solo laner. And her third stage is the little tracking ability. Now, I understand that can be really annoying to deal with, especially if you don't have boots on, and I'm going to tell you how to deal with it. All you have to do is that the second it gets a little bit close to you, you have to go backwards and to the left in a circle or to the right in a circle. It actually can't turn on an axis that strong, so going in a turn will actually help you dodge the ability. And once you get used to the timing, it actually becomes really simple. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is dealing with Persephone's ult, and there's one of two ways you could deal with it. The first way is obviously beads. However, you need to know this. If she builds full CDR, which is 40%, let me go ahead and show you. It's 40%. Her ultimate will now be on a 54-second cooldown, which is relatively short. That's less than a minute. Now, beads, even when upgraded, still has a cooldown of 130 seconds. So, be sure to use your beads smartly. But just know that beads is only going to save you 1 out of 2 times. The second time she ults you, she's... However, there is another way to deal with her ult, which a lot of people don't like doing, but you really don't have a choice. But in a team fight, it's a lot more manageable. So, if she ults, all you had to do is basic attack the center 5 times, and the ultimate will disappear. Now, I can understand focusing fire on an ultimate during a team fight can be a little bit daunting and challenging. However, when it comes to team fighting, you really don't have a choice unless you just want to be completely crippled for the rest of the team fight, which can hurt a lot of your teammates. So, I'll show you right here. You can see that she still has the basic attack before the ultimate finally disappears. So, be sure that if you see that down, don't be selfish. Break the ult. The last thing I want to talk about for an item that can counter this character is Mage or Bantha of Discord. If you watched my Tsukuyomi video, how to counter that character, these 2 items work against Persephone just as well. So if she ults you and you have beads, not only do you have Mage's cloak to get out of it, but you can save your beads so you can just walk out the ult for the next time that she ults you. So it's going to take her 3 times to ult you to actually get a guaranteed kill out of it. So use that information as you please. However, I understand that being a squishy and wanting to build full damage. However, if you're going to be a little bit more competitive, you need to understand to build an item to counter that certain god that you're dealing with, so you don't end up beating, for lack of a better word. So the last thing we're going to be talking about are gods for the mid lane that can deal with Persephone pretty decently well. Not necessarily counter picks, but people who can ensure that you don't hard feed the character too early. Now, the first person we're going to talk about is Chang'e. Now, she's not an amazing mid laner, right? She's more for the solo laner because she doesn't really have too much burst. However, Chang'e has a lot of defensive options against Persephone, just in her second ability alone, which makes her CC immune and damage immune, while also bolstering better cooldowns than Persephone has. So she could bully Persephone pretty well in the early and mid game. However, the late game is going to be a little bit of a struggle, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend this pick. But if you're looking for just a hard counter pick for the early game and trying to force a surrender early, this is a pretty decent god to use. Right along with that same line of thinking, Raijin is still a very, very strong mage. So he has arguably better cooldowns. He has a better team fighting ult. He has a lot more take damage and clear. And his clear also hurts the enemy mid laner. And Raijin at level 2 completely shuts down Persephone. So use this character. I personally believe that this character deals with Persephone very, very well. Especially when it comes to just how much damage this character can pump out. And he doesn't require setup to do so. So, if you're dealing with Persephone, Raijin is also a very strong pick. Another good pick to deal with Persephone is Morgan. Now, Morgan is not an easy god to use. For starters, you need to have a knowledge of everybody in the game to really play this character to her max potential. However, she has an invis, she has very strong clear level 1, she has a stun that she could use out while inside of her invis, and you can use Persephone's kit against her with Morgan. Morgan is a very strong god, and honestly, she's probably a lot better than Persephone because she doesn't require setup, but she will take some time to learn. So, the next god that I want to talk about that I feel can deal with Persephone really well as far as the mages go is Ra. Ra has really strong cooldowns. He has better clear. His healing is way stronger, forcing you both to get anti-heal, but you're going to beat her in a sustained battle, as well as the fact that his ult is on a better cooldown than Persephone's, so he can bait out her leap and then ult her. Ra also does get a huge power boost with protections inside of his healing. So this character can pump stop Persephone really well in the early to mid game, and can still contest when the late game comes around. So the last group of people that I think can counter Persephone are the hunters, save for a few. The only hunters that really can't deal with her that well are Artemis, Apollo, and arguably Xbalanque. Everybody else can have a pretty decent time fighting her. Reason being is because all the hunters are still really strong in the mid lane. However, I wouldn't recommend going a hunter for the mid lane unless you have a magical ADC, and even then, play that by ear. However, the number one person out of the hunters that I think can deal with Persephone is Turnabout. Reason being, he has dumb amounts of burst and just his little combo here. A good getaway move. So if you see her ult, you can actually hide in the wall until her ult goes away, then come right back out and then just deal with her that way. Or you have this ult that can teleport you to another enemy player. Albeit that's a little bit more dangerous, but the option is still there. Anyway, if you have any questions, concerns, don't forget to leave them in the comment section below. If you'd like to talk to me about the next person you want me to make a guide on how to counter or how to play the character in general, leave it in the comment section below. Without further ado, thank you for watching and have a nice day.